on, everyone? Welcome back to Dipped in Tone. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
I am not at home.
You are not.
I'm not.
It's so painfully obvious that you are in a hotel room.
I'm in a hotel room. And I was a little nervous about this this hotel Wi-Fi, but it seems to be holding up, knock on wood. I'm in literally Hollywood. Like outside my window right now is Hollywood Boulevard. We're in this vibey hotel here. It's cool, you know?
Nice.
So, yeah. What's going on with you? What's new?
Oh my gosh. Well, since this will go out, so we could kind of talk about this real quickly. The guitar store announcement has been announced.
We can talk about this.
So, yeah, we are like planning everything that is going to go along with this launch, which will be very soon. But yeah, opening a guitar store. What a weird, strange thing.
Yeah, I kind of spoke over you there for a second. You're launching a guitar store. You're opening a guitar store.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, because we had the idea in May.
Yeah.
And it is, as of today's recording, it is August 27th. So it's not been that long.
No, man, it moved fast. Like you told me maybe like a day or two after you had this idea. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, little inside baseball, we keep up on Marco Polo, and you poloed me and was like, this is what we're doing. This is what I want to do. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that actually makes sense. I get that. And then a day later, it was like, we got the loan, we got the account, we got the LLC, we got the thing. And I was like, oh shit, you guys are like doing it already.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy when you already, like, because I didn't have to establish a new business entirely, you know, so it's like, we're just tacking it on to what we already do. It's just a new DBA. So like all that was easy. The loan was difficult because they basically said, yeah, get us quotes for everything you want and we'll get you the money. I'm like, well, like guitar companies don't really do that, but we got it and it's exciting. So we're going to have Fano, Novo, which is wild, having both those brands, Rock and Roll Relics, Dr. Z, 2 Rock, Divided by 13, Throwback, Mythos, and then a bunch of other like small things. I think Josh from JHS is going to make us some of his hand-wired little personal pedals.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool and vibey and just, it's going to be great. I'm super excited.
So how deep do you want to go on this right now? Do we want to talk about like name and the branding and everything, or are you just...
Yeah, I mean, we'll just say the guitar store is going to be called High Voltage Guitars, as an homage to everything rock and roll that Matthew, Jeff, and myself love so much. And yeah, it's going to be in the front room of the store. But maybe we could do a whole episode about this a little bit later.
We should. Yeah. And I mean, you've already got all the socials. So if you're listening or watching, High Voltage Guitars on Instagram, all the stuff, go follow it. You're also going to be doing some consignment stuff. I'm going to be consigning some stuff. There's some other player friends of ours that are consigning some stuff through you guys. So it's like, it seems like it's going to be a really cool thing, man. I'm excited for you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if we say this sucks, we can just pay off the loan. Mythos will be broke, but then we'll just have a bunch of cool shit. So it'll be fun as hell, right?
Yeah, if you look at it that way, I kind of have a guitar store that's just not a store and none of it's for sale. It's just a collection of a bunch of cool shit that
you're like Rumble
cost me a lot of money. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, before we go any further, I want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, which is Stew-Mac. You can get 10% off your order. Stewmac.com/dippedintone. Links in the description, in the show notes, everything down below. Yeah, we are now right on the edge of fall right now. Right now when we are recording this, it's still hot as hell. But when you're listening or watching, we're right on the precipice of fall. And you know what that means? Guitars are going to be changing. Setups are going to be changing. New setups need to happen. And Stew-Mac is the place to go for all that stuff. And actually, we're going to talk about this more, but I was just at Fretboard Summit and they were there. Dude, they had like, I didn't know they did all this, but they sell like guitar, not obviously the guitar kits, but hardwoods and everything. They're getting into selling all that stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's not just a few guitar tools and lutherie tools. They go pretty deep with all that stuff.
Pretty much anything you need to make a guitar, you can get it from Steward-MacDonald, which is wild.
Stuart John.
That's what it is.
Stuart Herbert Walker McDonald. Anyways, yeah, thanks so much to StewMac for sponsoring today's episode. Once again, 10% off your order. StewMac.com/dippedintone. Almost said dippedintone.com/StewMac. Don't do that. That doesn't work. Doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, thanks for sponsoring, and go check them out. So cool. So can we jump into Fretboard Summit?
Let's go.
Okay, so we're in LA right now for something we're doing with Fender. It's a really cool, fun thing, but can't quite talk about it yet. This past week, though, we were in Chicago for Fretboard Summit. So if you're not familiar, Fretboard Summit is a guitar event that has been going on for several years now. It's put on by the magazine Fretboard Journal, which I'm sure most of you, or if not all of you, are familiar with. And Fretboard Journal is this like beautifully curated, fancy, like amazing photography, great storytelling kind of magazine that's been around for a long time. And the person who heads up Fretboard Journal, Jason Verlinde, puts on Fretboard Summit. This year I got to go. It is the best guitar event I have ever been to in my life. I mean, genuinely. I was excited about it because of all the people that were going to be there. And I had always heard good things. Josh Scott, a friend of the show, which we should probably add Josh to the drinking game at this point. Along with Carter Vintage, right? Okay, so for those playing along at home, Josh, drink. But Josh has told me for a few years, like, man, it's the best thing ever. You know, it's the anti-NAMM is what everyone calls it. It's anti-NAMM. And I can confirm it is the anti-NAMM. It was so inspiring, so much fun. I watched some of the best guitar musicianship and guitar playing I've ever seen in my life. Blake Mills played a solo set in a room of about like 200 people that will literally stick with me for the rest of my life. Adam Levy and Rich Hinman with their quartet, they put on one of the grooviest, vibiest sets I've ever seen. Jonathan Stout, who's this amazing 1930s like swing guitar player, very much in like the Charlie Christian and pre-Charlie Christian era, blew my mind. I mean, it was just so many cool people, so many cool brands and builders there. And what was amazing was there were elements of NAMM about it, right? There were, vendors there, they had booths set up, but it was at this place called the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago, which has been there since the late 50s, I think. And it's this big school. It's kind of like a small college, right, in Chicago. And so instead of this big convention hall, it's a series of classrooms. So it's amazing because it's quiet and you can walk into these classrooms and see all these vendors and pick up guitars and play and actually hear what you're doing and actually hear and talk to people and actually play the stuff and feel the gear. Like I played a Frank Brothers for my first time and it was just amazing. So many cool things. So you have to go next year. I'm going to hold you to it. That's why even if you don't go as Mythos or as High Voltage, we need to take the podcast there and just record because there's so many cool people at this event. Man, I can't speak highly enough of it.
I was planning on, cause I was looking at going to exhibit, and all intents and purposes, it's not that expensive to exhibit. Once you've done NAMM, California NAMM, it's like, oh, that's $1,000. Like, that's no big deal, Yeah. But I've already, this year has been crazy, and I've felt so pulled in so many directions that it just wasn't the right time for me mentally or financially with the guitar store because I've already been. We've already got the loan. So that means I got to pay it back and the store's not even open yet. So like we have, another expense to eat, but, I did want to go and I had FOMO real bad. Just, I did. Yeah. But yeah, for me, it's like weighing this option of as a brand who, and like, no one likes to hear this, but I'm in this to make money, like this feeds my family, Matthew's family, Jeff's family, the almighty dollar is omnipresent. But But I do like to go and have fun. But sometimes if I can't turn it in my head, I have to let go of that. Like, I got to turn a profit or this is going to be a complete waste of time. It's hard for me to let that go.
Yeah. Well, okay. You mentioned something there that I want to touch on. You said people don't like hearing this, but I have to make money. I actually think most people who know about Mythos or watch this show or watch me on YouTube, the overwhelming majority of people are smart and understand that this is what we do for our living. And so they know that this is how you have to make money. Right. So I don't agree with that necessarily of like, people don't like to hear you say this or talk about this because people understand what this is. This came up in several conversations with me over the weekend at Fretboard Summit, where talking with players or fans or other content creators about like comments and negativity online. And I actually gave a talk on Sunday morning, which is not something I typically do. It was way outside of my wheelhouse. But the topic of my talk was, is the internet ruining guitar? And the idea essentially was talking about how things have changed over the last 20 years in just our little world of the guitar space online. And as a brand and as podcast hosts and as content creators, we're subject to comments on the daily. And what you have to realize is the people commenting most of the time are the ends of the bell curve, right? If you think about people that watch the show or whatever, there's a bell curve of people that liked what we did, didn't like what we did. And the people that are commenting are the people that are on the ends of each one of those spectrums. The people that really liked what we did or really, really hated what we did. Right. And as people who are on the receiving end of that stuff, because we're humans, the stuff that really sticks with us is the people that really like to shit on what we do and what we did.
Yes.
But you have to keep in mind, like, those are the two extremes. The vast majority of people that watch a Mythos video or buy a Mythos pedal or whatever are never going to comment. They're never going to say anything. So yeah, I wanted to flag that and bring that up for a second, because I think actually most people are totally fine with the idea of like, yeah, you have to make money. You have a family, you have a house, you have a business to run.
It's sometimes you feel, because we've talked about this, it's like it took me, gosh, like over a year just to even, and this is a whole sidebar tangent, completely ancillary to Fretboard Summit, to even wearing my watch, because I bought an Omega, and to wear that in videos or on Instagram stories and stuff, because I thought, oh, people are going to be like, look at this guy, wearing his fancy watch, and there was a little bit of that, but I don't know. It's like money is always a funny thing. I feel like in these circles, because I think everyone kind of assumes like, oh, we're just friends, we're palling around, we're having a good time. It's just guitar, but it's like, this is our job.
Yeah, it is that, right? Like we are that. We're friends, and that's how this show started, was us just like screwing around on Instagram Live during the pandemic, right? But yeah, this is also our job. Like, I'm in LA right now. This is a work trip, and I'm going, I'm being paid by Fender to be a part of this thing that they're doing, right? It is a business thing, because, you build pedals, you have a guitar shop. I am a content creator, and, this is my job now. When I started YouTube 6.5 years ago, it wasn't my job. It was my creative outlet. It was my voice. It was something that I wanted to build, because at the time my job was being a guitar player, professional guitar player, but I was a hired gun sideman who had no equity in any of the music that I was playing. I was playing other people's guitar parts that they had recorded on records that I didn't play on. And I was pretty dissatisfied with it. And so I started the YouTube thing, and now the YouTube thing has become my job. So when Fender or someone comes knocking and says, hey, can you come out to Corona and do this thing, and what's your artist rate and everything, like, yeah, I take it, because I got a mortgage to pay, and a business to build, and I have an employee, and like all this stuff. And again, I think the overwhelming majority of people completely understand that. But you're right. There are people that like see the nice watch or whatever and go, oh, it must be nice. You know, see the two rocks in the background of your video. Oh, it must be nice.
We work really hard.
Yeah, man. I actually, dude.
All this gray. Go back and watch an early dipped and see how little gray is in my chin.
So speaking of Two Rock and Fretboard Summit, one of the highlights
yes.
for me and for Tilly was Eli from Two Rock was there. And, you know, you've known Eli a lot longer than I have, and you've been close with him a lot longer than I have. But this weekend for us was amazing because we got to spend a lot of time and really connect on a friend level with Eli. And
yes.
Man, so many amazing conversations were had, and he's an amazing, truly amazing person in more ways than one. But we talked about this because, you know, he's been subject to it as well. You know, he's, and I don't want to get too in detail with it, but the sentiment was like, when people say that, because I get it a lot, showing gear or something in a video, like, oh, it must be nice. Such and such sends you this $2,000 guitar, $3,000 guitar. It's like, man, well, it is nice because I mean, yeah, like we're in an amazing position, an incredibly privileged position with where we are, but also like, man, you want to get free gear from companies? I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Spend years of your life working 50, 60 hours a week plus building a YouTube channel and an Instagram profile, making content that nobody's watching, nobody's engaging with. You're not making any money for upwards of 2.5 years of working a full-time job on top of the job that you already have to build this thing. And then years and years later, companies will start sending you free gear so that you can continue to work 60 plus hours a week on this thing. Like, yeah, I think there's this idea about, oh, you just build pedals, man. Or, oh, you're just a YouTuber. Like, you just like, screw that guy. He just sets a camera up and talks about guitar stuff, and he's got all these companies sending him free stuff. Like,
right.
I don't think people understand how much work goes into what you do and what I do and what Eli at Two Rock does and all the builders and everybody we know in this industry. Like, this isn't a hobby, man.
No, it's such an investment in yourself. And like, and we kind of talked about this a little bit with Tyler. Like, you have to like not be afraid to take risks and put yourself out there. And just like, things are going to suck for a while, and you just have to dig in your heels and just hang on, because like, if you love it, hopefully it'll keep going. But there's definitely like, I get that all the time. Like, I get so many messages on Instagram, like, hey, you know, I make videos and do this and that. Can I have something? And usually I very kindly say, no, I can't. Cause you know, people just assume they don't cost me anything. And there's great markup on pedals, a great markup on everything. Not less so with Two Rock. I know how much it costs to build those damn things.
Yeah, there's not much markup on Two Rock.
No, there's not. But like, if you want that stuff, like, show me how bad you want it. Like, that's usually what I say to people.
Yeah. And it's got to be, again, getting back to the business side of it, like, for you to send someone a pedal or a handful of pedals, like, it's a two-way street. You're not in the business of just building these pedals to just give them away to people that might use them, might not. Like, you're sending them out in the hopes that it's going to help grow your brand and your brand awareness, and so that you sell more pedals and you get more dealers and you grow your business.
I think there's a really big conversation here that would probably be best saved for another show, but I feel like influencer culture in the guitar space is in a really weird space.
I mean, let's just go there. Like, yeah, like, we might as well. So explain what you mean. What do you mean by like weird space?
So, okay, like, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever a new product would come out, it was just blanketed all over the internet, right? Especially pedals, because, you know, relatively easy to ship it and low risk in paying someone to demo it. But you would see like a huge number of demos
right
from everybody, and everyone has it. It's just like this bomb goes off, and that's all you can see anywhere. But it feels like every time I've tried any of that, it doesn't really do anything. And the more as time has gone on, and you know it, the demo thing is dead.
Oh yeah,
demos are dead. No one cares. I mean, well, people care.
Put a pin in that. But it is and it isn't. But yes, go ahead.
Right. But I feel like for brands like us, spending upwards of, you know, I mean, paying all these guys to do this stuff is expensive, and the views aren't there. I don't know if people, like, they might watch it out of some sort of habit or routine. But we just decided a few years ago, like, look, we're not going to do that. I can do it. I have this camera. I have a microphone. I can play guitar. Okay. Like, I can get this done. And I think it's paid out probably better in the long run. But every time when I give something to someone or pay someone to do something, like, it's good to have that content out there, but I don't see a lot of return in it. Yeah. And unless it's something like, I see more of a return, like when we came and did the PRS video with you, because that's more interesting and compelling, and people get me more in that sort of situation than if we were just sitting around trying pedals. They understand what I'm trying to accomplish more so, I think.
So yes, I agree. The pedal demo thing has been dead for a long time. From the content creator side, I don't do that thing because for me to produce a video is a lot of time. And that old saying, time is money, is a very, very true thing. Like, time is the most valuable thing that any of us have. So for me to choose to make a video on something, it has to meet several criteria. One of the first criteria is this an interesting topic that I'm interested in? And is this something that my audience is going to engage with and get something out of? Is the video going to do well? If it doesn't, even if I don't think a video has the potential to do well, I'm not even going to start, because it costs too much time and money for me to make a video on my channel for something that's just not going to work. Demos are that way. I think every manufacturer should be making their own demo content. And if you're 100%. A builder, you're an amp builder, pedal builder, whatever, you need to also be hip to some basic content creation stuff so that you can create and post your own demo stuff. And if you're someone who's thinking about getting into the guitar YouTuber or content creator space, do not think, in my opinion, don't think you're going to build a following online doing demo stuff, because it's super saturated. You're not going to break out and be able to separate yourself from everyone else that's already doing it and is established, like our friends, like RJ, for example, that has been established doing this thing. Pete Thorne is established doing this thing. Like, they're at the top of that echelon, and you can't really compete. If you want to grow as a content creator in any niche, you have to be transactional. You have to teach people something for free. They need to get something out of your content. You have to be honest and show your personality and let people connect with you. And doing demo content doesn't work for that.
No. And man, gosh, it's so hard too. Look, it's like if you're getting into the demo thing, you're not going to make everyone happy. Like, I try my best to demo stuff in a way that is fairly universal, and I still get so many messages. Hey, can you make a whole new video, like playing this with like a solid state amps? Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. My approach to it is like, there's several tiers to it. So let's say X company has some, okay, let's use you and I as an example. Let's say Mythos has a new pedal coming out, and you reach out to me, hey, what can I sponsor a video on your channel of a pedal? I'm going to say a few things. Well, I don't do demos. I don't do just straight ahead demo stuff for all the reasons I just mentioned.
Right.
B, like if it's a product that I'm not into, I don't think is either good or it's just not something I'm interested in, that's a non-starter for me. I'm not going to talk about and highlight something I don't like and that I wouldn't recommend to one of my friends. I'm not going to even, do that. And then C, there has to be an angle in which I can make a video. Like if you're going to sponsor a video, hey, I'm going to give you this pedal and I'm going to pay you for a sponsored video on your channel. Then I'm going to teach a concept that is not exclusive to your piece of gear. An example of this on my channel recently would have been the PRS, the David Grissom amp. They reached out to me. Right. That was a sponsored video. They sent me the amp. They paid for the video. But the video is not necessarily about the DGT amp. The video is about how the things I wish I knew when I was first getting into tube amps, when we're talking about gain staging and the differences between master volume and preamp volume and understanding EQ differences. They're concepts that apply to all different types of tube amps and modelers, by the way. So anyone who's watching the video hopefully is getting something out of it, whether or not they're interested in buying a PRS DGT amp to begin with. And that way everybody wins. My video does much better because it's a more interesting topic that a wider audience wants to engage with. So my channel grows. I earn more AdSense revenue on the video. PRS is happy because now instead of getting their amp in front of 20 or 30,000 views, they're over 100,000 views or whatever that video has done. And the viewers, most importantly, are mostly happy with it because they're learning something. They clicked on a video and they're gaining some information that they didn't have before the video. So that's at least my approach to it.
No, I think it's the best way to go about it because like at the end of the day, like compelling content is the thing that'll make people come back. And it's good for, the viewers too. Like, I really enjoyed watching that. I'll tune in next time. I'm excited. I mean, I don't have any cable. So like sometimes these sort of things like your channel or that pedal show or whatever, those are my weekly programs. But you don't have to tell people you watch my channel. It's okay. We don't have to. I do watch your channel. No, I do. I don't watch everything because it's physically impossible for me to. And I watch a lot less YouTube than I used to. But I do, for the most part, I watch most of them.
Well, what other ways?
But getting back to Fretboard. Oh, do you want to?
Well, I was just going to ask, before we get back to Fretboard, we'll circle back there in just a second. But God, that was like some corporate ass. Let's circle back and touch base.
Get me on Teams.
What other ways though do you think that like the guitar influencer media culture is weird right now? Are there other ones or is it just the demo thing?
There are some that I don't feel comfortable saying publicly. That I think people have a lot of ties to certain things, and this would be a better conversation to have privately before brought public. Got it. Okay, but understood. But I don't know. I just think the interest in a lot of that stuff has waned so much, and that I think what you touched on, how whoever runs a company or in whatever space, they have to be face forward and own it, has superseded a lot of the traditional marketing of listen to how this sounds and all that. And I think that has been something that even for me has been a hard transition to keep products moving forward. Cause I don't know if people, I think if people see the Envy and they think, oh, that looks cool. They don't really care how it sounds. They just want a cool write up and it looks cool. And everything else is let's get it and check it out. Cause I don't want to step on his toes, but Josh and I were talking and he said something about, this is the first time in guitar history when people are just buying stuff. They're not going to stores and trying it. Oh man, that new thing came out. Let's go get it. It's just like movies, no one's waiting in line at Blockbuster to rent something. It's everything's here and you just have it immediately. And so that has really changed.
I did it this week. Chase Bliss sent out that announcement about them discontinuing some pedals. So I just went and bought a Dark Worlds. So I was like, you know what? They are going to discontinue this thing. That scarcity mindset thing took over. And
sure,
I've never played a Dark Worlds, but I know that I like Chase Bliss stuff. I know that type of pedal is right up my alley. So I just went and bought it. And I was like, I'm probably going to like it.
It's a Link to the Past Zelda inspired. That's that one. When they first did the video for that, like the first demo, like way back when, I'm like, oh man, this is kind of got a Zelda thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking to Andy Pitcher, was one of the people that was there, which if you don't know, Andy, he's an incredible guitar player online who does like, he's one of my favorite types of guitar players, which is, I like to think of him as like a sonic architect, where his approach to just sound is so different than anything. And I told him I bought it because I was literally standing there with my like cart open at the show buying it. And he was like, oh dude. And he told me this one thing. He's like, you got to do this. You got to turn the preamp or like, so, anyways, and if I don't like it, I'm not going to do the pedal flipping thing where I put it up on reverb for twice what I paid for it because they don't make anymore. That's bullshit. Don't do that pedal scalper stuff. So annoying. But I think, I mean, just to wrap up on this point, like to the builders out there, I think you need to be public facing. I think you owe it to your company and the success of your company to be public facing and online and engaging with your customers and your community and trying to build a community around your product, because that is just how things are now. Like being a content creator is just part of being a musician now. It's part of being an artist. It's part of being a builder now. It just is what it is. And I understand, you know, a lot of people lament that and they sort of hate it. I completely understand. Some days I hate doing this shit. Like it's just, it is a drag sometimes, but I think if you want to be relevant as a maker or as a musician or an artist or whatever, like you have to have some of these skills and be able to create content so that you can build a community around what you're doing. Look at you, Zach, look at Josh, look at Joel from Chase Bliss. I mean, there's so many examples of great builders where people don't only know the product and the company, but they know the people behind the company. Philippe from Caroline is another good example. Like, you just have to do this now.
The only thing that I will say to that, just as an addendum, is if you don't feel comfortable doing it, just do it anyway and practice, because you'll get better. Because it's really hard doing like looking at this little thing.
It is for sure. And you'll also find what works for you. Like Zach, what works for you doing the YouTube channel and the 2 different podcasts and everything won't work for everybody. You know, what works for Josh wouldn't work for you. Like you couldn't do the JHS show, you know, like, so you'll find your lane, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah.
100%. So back to Fretboard Summit. You said it's the anti-NAMM.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So for anyone who's ever been to NAMM, you'll know what I'm talking about. NAMM has this sense of almost desperation about it. People come to a booth and there's a tension there. Part of it's the noise, first of all. I mean, it's just so loud, you know. But it's so big and it's so hectic. I know when I'm at NAMM, I feel like I'm just like, okay, shit. Okay, I got to talk to these people. I got to talk to these people. This person emailed me. I've got a meeting at this time. I've got to be at this thing. It's like, it's just such a rush. And there's a sense of desperation, I think, with some builders where they're like, I've paid a lot of money to be here. I got to justify this. I've got to get new dealers. There's a sense of desperation for some of the content creator side. Like, man, I paid a lot of money to be here. I got to make sure I'm getting content. I mean, dude, without naming names, I see some content creators walk around NAMM with this like 1,000-yard stare, carrying dozens of pounds of camera gear, trying to shoot content for their channel for the next 6 months. And it's like, dude, I can't do that. So there's just like this just struggle, this sense of desperation, this like, you know what I'm talking about. It can be kind of brutal, you know, and everyone by the end of the day, we're all just like, oh my God, I need a drink. Holy shit. Like,
Yeah. I'm working at the booth.
Oh God.
You've never worked a booth.
No.
And it is like, I love meeting people, and like, you know, you get so many fans and people who love what you do. And it's amazing to have that, but just literally standing in a 10 or 20 foot square, just sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. And there's great parts about NAMM for sure. Like I always walk away from NAMM. I've talked to Tim Pierce about this a lot. Like we always walk away from NAMM feeling energized, because for us on the content creator side, it's like one of the few times a year that we actually get to meet the people that watch our stuff. And that's so fulfilling because when you do what we do, you're just staring at screens and analytics and numbers all the time. So to get to meet people that are actually it's incredibly fulfilling. Fretboard Summit was different because it really feels like the guitar community coming together, because that's exactly what it is. That sense of desperation, that sense of like hustle and grind is not there. You know, the builders that are there, I overheard and was a part of so many conversations this week where it was people like problem solving, which just doesn't happen at NAMM, at least in my experience, where builders talking to one another. Hey, I'm having trouble with this thing. Really established, well-known builders talking to new people on the block. And I witnessed it, like giving them advice, giving them, like helping them out. People that are competitors in business, two competing businesses, helping each other. Like, oh man, you got to try this. You got to do this way. When I made this switch, this completely changed things for me. Like, you got to do this. Builders buying each other's gear, because everything's for sale at Fretboard Summit, which is cool. That's another thing that's different from NAMM. I witnessed like guitar builders going and buying guitars from other builders because it's cool. Like playing, I played a lot of guitar with other guitar players this week because you can, like, there's space for it and it sounds nice and it's quiet, and the vibe of Fretboard Summit is so inclusive and inviting, and it really is about the community coming together in the effort of like continuing to build and grow and reinforce the positive parts of guitar culture. And it was really beautiful, man. Like, not to get too emotional about it, but like I met so many amazing people and got to put faces to names for companies and stuff that I really respect. I bought some stuff that I thought was really cool. I cannot speak highly enough about what Jason and the team at Fretboard Journal have built at Fretboard Summit. It'll be August, I think 21st through the 24th or 5th next year in Chicago. I'm telling you, when tickets go on sale, buy them. It does sell out. There's a limited number of slots available. Go to Fretboard Summit next year. Like, it's amazing. Okay.
Dipped in Tone will be there.
Yeah. Dipped in Tone will be there. It's going to be sick. It's so good.
I remember once, Jason, someone was chatting about some guitar magazine thing on Facebook, and I posted a Ghostbuster quote. Egon in the first movie says, "Print is dead," because they were asking about the importance of like the guitar magazine advertising. I said that, and he was like, "Well, I don't know." And I was like, "Oh man, I'm just like kidding around."
Yeah,
because what they do is different. Altogether than any other guitar magazine publication, because like Premier Guitar, you know, it's a total different thing.
Yeah,
from Fretboard Summit.
Yeah, they're almost like not even competitors. Like,
not really.
They just do so many different things. It's like it's in the same way that, like, you know, Two Rock and Benson are not competitors. They both build incredible amps and have an amazing sound and an amazing brand and everything, but like they're not competing with one another necessarily.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, we're going to go. Everyone else should go. Make your plans. I'll figure out where I'm going to stay. I don't like Airbnbs. I don't like staying in other people's homes. It weirds me out.
Our Airbnb really sucked this year. Because it was our fault. We waited too long to book it and everything. It was not a good situation. So, well, yeah. In Chicago, man, in August is beautiful. It's like the perfect time of year to be there. It's an amazing city. I love Chicago. Like, yeah, it's a vibe. The whole thing's a vibe.
Sweet. Well, you want to dip a rig?
Let's dip a rig, man.
Oh man, you're gonna like this one, I think. Look at that.
Ooh.
So this is totally different, right?
Whoa. Okay.
So this is Jason Moore's rig, and Jason emailed us and said, "Please consider dipping my rig." And as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
So he is a Dick Dale tribute artist from Memphis.
Okay. Now this makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
He's got a 62 Fender Showman over there with a custom built, another custom built Showman, replica head. I guess that's the one on the right.
Yeah, the Surfer.
Oh, yes. Each speaker cabinet has a 15, and there's also a reissue Fender reverb unit. But the guitar is the custom shop Dick Dale, and it's strung with, buckle up, 16, 18, a 20 plain, 38, 48, 60 strings in standard tuning.
Jesus.
Because I mean, like, God. You have to do the, you know, all that stuff. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it's not, because didn't Dick play upside down?
I don't know, man. I don't know much about Dick Dale's sound or rig. That's not something I've ever really dug into. I can tell you one thing though, you're not bending on that guitar.
Oh no.
You're not. Those are, God, this is like a baritone string set almost.
Right. I mean, like Joey kind of plays strings like that, but he's tuned down like to C. So it's like, it's not slinky, but you can kind of bend a little bit. But the speakers have like aluminum dust covers. And so it's like, I mean, this is the epitome of a surf guitar rig. Like there's nothing else in your way.
How many watts is the Showman?
How many watts is a Showman? Let's find out.
Are those 6V6 bass? I don't know much about the Showman. Also, I like that that reverb tank has been, I'm assuming the reverb tank's been recovered and Tolexed, or did they do a reissue that was same?
They did a 60s, early 60s reissue.
With the oxblood trail cloth and okay.
They're 85 watts.
Oh. 6L6?
It's gotta be.
Gotta be. Man.
Yeah.
That anytime I see a speaker with an aluminum dust cap, I'm like, that's loud. I don't know what it is.
Your head hurts?
Yeah, it's just something about that aluminum dust cap peeking through the grill cloth. I'm like, that's gotta be loud, man. It's like the old JBL.
It is so, just like, but you know, that is the sound, you know. But I mean, this to me is like mega cool. I don't know if I would ever be brave enough to play this at any amount of volume. Dude, I think you just feel so naked.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with this. Just the guitar
you play Dick Dale, you play surf songs.
Yeah, and I don't know how to play surf songs. So that's what I'm saying is I don't know how to. I would not. This rig would be totally lost on me with that string gauge set and the Strat and the. Is he running both amps simultaneously in like a dual mono?
He didn't say, but I think Dick, I mean, like if those are in phase, you could probably jump like one to the other, you know, and they would, you could just daisy chain them. I mean, maybe they're on two sides of a stage or something, or a drum riser or something.
Jesus, dude.
I think this is really cool. What's the heaviest string gauge that you play on any like normal basis?
10s, honestly. Like
just 10s?
I mean, for electric, yeah. And I keep 10s on my Gibsons because of the shorter scale. Fenders or my Fender scale lengths all have 9s on them, except for the Novo, the Ceres J. That guitar does not tolerate 9s at all.
Right.
I mean, like my resonator for my Mule, that has, I think, like 13s on it. The Mule Caster has some heavier gauge stuff, but like, yeah, no, 10s are as heavy as I go. Which, by the way, is not heavier gauge strings. We did this on Rick's channel years ago. That like, you And it was Dave Friedman that told him about this. Like, if you want, I think it was like tighter, more controlled low end, or was it more low end? It was something about the low end. I can't remember now, but yeah, it was like go with lighter gauge strings, and it checks out. Like we did it in the video, and it works. And when you listen to like, you know, a lot of the guys back in the 70s, Billy Gibbons. I mean, everyone was using like 8s and stuff.
Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Eddie was using really light strings.
Yeah. And old Dick Dale's out there using
Hendrix.
Like extension
cords.
Well,
his is, and I think a lot of this, because like what I think of is I bought that White Explorer.
Yep.
And I put the James Hetfield strings on it because he says specifically that he wanted a string that when you hit the low E, it doesn't go sharp. Because like we've all had that where we're playing something heavy and you go boom and it goes wow.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's super annoying. And so I was like, I wonder if that works. And it totally does.
And that makes sense.
They're like 11s.
Yeah. If you're Hetfield, like that totally makes sense.
Yeah. All down picking, just heavy. But like there's a feel thing because it's not even about the sound because I prefer lighter strings too. But like having that sort of heavier tautness, there's just an immediacy, especially if you're doing like Dick Dale, you're tremolo picking. You're just, you know, it's 16th notes like the whole time.
Yeah, dude.
So they can't move. But I don't know. I love this rig. I'm going to give this rig a 9. 9 shoils.
I have a lot of respect for this rig. I wouldn't know what to do with it. I don't know what's going on with the guitar too, because he's got like, obviously it's modded. If you look at the pick guard.
No, that's how Dick's guitar was.
What? Really?
That's how Dick Dale's guitar. It had that switch and all that stuff. Yeah, like that is his setup.
There you go. That shows you how much I know about Dick Dale.
Yeah, it's weird. It's great.
Dude, I got to give this 8.6 just because I don't know what I would. This is not for me, so I can't even begin to recommend like what I would do because I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't like.
What if it had like a big muff in front of it?
No, it wouldn't
with those aluminum dust caps.
Dude, no, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. Yeah, 8.6 just out of sheer like, holy hell, man. Maybe we should ask people to start Jason. Like. Maybe we should start asking people to submit like sound clips. We've talked about that before, but a rig like that, I want to hear that thing.
Right. Yeah. If you have any YouTube videos or anything, send it to us.
We should plug to the email for submitting rigs to be dipped.
Yeah, it's just just dippedintone@gmail.com.
Yeah, dippedintone@gmail.
So and that's a Patreon thing. We're going to restructure Patreon. All this will be announced very shortly.
The show's going through some changes here.
That.
Yeah, behind the scenes, we're kind of making some changes. We'll talk about it shortly. But yeah, dippedintone@gmail. Send us a picture. The criteria is it needs to be a rig you could take to a show. We don't want pictures of all your shit. Like it needs to be
in one image.
One image. Yeah, for sure.
One clear image. You want a shill?
Yeah. Do you got one?
I do. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have probably seen this guitar showed up. I was going to shill this, but it's my last one. I swear. It's a gold one.
Jesus, dude. I actually like, hold on. Should that
really,
it's a nice gold
It's
plating.
pretty rad.
It's not real gold, is it?
It's got gold jacks. No.
Oh, hell yeah.
And a yellow LED. So in this guitar, this is the McCready. I put in throwback 63 maximum vintage, like their Strat set.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we all know that throwback can make a killer PAF, but these Strat pickups have blown my mind. It actually makes me like Strats again, because like this guitar before was fine. But man, these throwback Strat pickups are so balanced, so like vintage sounding. They just sound how they're supposed to sound. It's wild.
Yeah, man. So, I had Sweetwater sent me out. So for the American Player 2 series video that I did, it was they sent out I asked for an American Pro 2 to kind of compare it to. And they sent out the Sweetwater spec version, which the Sweetwater spec comes with the custom shop Fat 60s. And dude, those pickups, those are my favorite at least from what Fender makes.
Fat
from the
50s or Fat
no,
60s?
the 60s. There's 60s ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it's a shell pink Strat. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep this Strat. This one's actually really good. And it's because of those pickups. So I think you're right. I've had a similar realization recently that I think I am quite picky about Strat pickups, where I'm not as picky about like P90s and PAFs. Strat pickups, I think, I'm very, very picky about. And I've found a couple, like my Shabbat is this way, which I think it has Lawlers in it. And then the 60s custom shop reissue pickups, I'm like, okay, this I like. So I would be totally down to try those.
Yeah, I think you'd really like it. And John, like some people, anything expensive, Ron Ellis, any of these super high end pickup manufacturers, people tend to kind of like turn their nose up. But like, there's a reason why these cost this much, and they're absolutely worth it. They're so like, I was like, how great can it be, right? And as soon as we put them in, I hadn't even like set the pickup heights, and we're all like, wait a minute, like something's different, and super balanced and just incredible. So yeah, check them out. Throwback Strat.
On that note, I think pickups are something you should spend money on. Like go get those, spend some money on an expensive set of pickups, because you can
always take them with you.
Yeah, you can take them with you. They don't, like, once you put them in the guitar, it's not like they're in that guitar forever. Like, keep your stock pickups, your stock electronics, whatever. And if you want to part ways with the guitar, keep the good pickups and throw them into the next thing. Like, you should spend some money on a good, whatever your platform of choice is. If you're a Strat player, you're a humbucker guy, whatever, like, have a good set of nice custom, whatever, expensive pickups. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, but it's also a very dangerous rabbit hole to go down. So.
Hell yeah, it is, brother. This whole world is a dangerous rabbit hole. Like, if we're honest,
ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the damn truth? All right. So one of the builders that was there at Fretboard Summit, I connected with. I'd never played any of his stuff before. Builds amps and pedals, and had a really great time there. And so I bought a pedal from him there on the show, or at the show. Silktone Overdrive Plus. Just a really cool overdrive circuit. Charles from Silktone builds amps. He had a really cool amp on display there. Single-ended KT66 amp. The name is escaping me right now, but a really cool amp, really cool design. And he has this and a really awesome fuzz. I almost bought the fuzz too. The fuzz has a digital readout on it that tells you the bias as you turn the bias knob. It's pretty sick.
Right. But
this is a killer overdrive circuit. He says it's his own design, his own circuit. Just really touch responsive, has this nice clarity, this nice top end sweetness to it that I really like. A couple of options. There's like a high pass filter that has different clipping modes. And then this boost is really useful on the side. There's multi-mode boost. Yeah, man, just a really cool, versatile, super usable overdrive pedal that I liked on the floor there, and I bought it. So hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I like his enclosures too.
More overdrives, yes.
The backplate, this is a nice little detail. Backplate is recessed. Yeah. It's a cool little
those
thing.
Those are Gorva enclosures. I really do like those. They have like the top's like a pillow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because like a normal pedal enclosure is flat.
Right.
And that's got a little bit of a radius to it. But I thought about switching to them, but how we print, where that drop off works, like the UV printer can't go that far, as far over as I would need, because like it's like printing and then like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exactly work, but that's okay. But that's cool.
Okay. So yeah, cool, man. One more thanks to the sponsor of today's episode, which is StewMac. Don't forget, you can get 10% off your order, stewmac.com/dippedintone. If you use that link to it, helps us out because it helps them kind of track, people coming from the show over there. So if you like us, and you like what we do, go buy some stuff from StewMac through that link. Help your old pals out over here at Dipped in Tone. And also don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and rate us and review us wherever you get your podcasts.
And like we said, things are going to be we're going to be making some announcements soon, but that's all well and good. Dipped in Tone will still be the best guitar podcast on the planet. Can I say that? I think
Goddamn right, brother. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. God.
Well, Well, on that note, we'll see you guys later.
See y'all.